If the spooky paintings in your dead cousin's estate came to life and began hunting you, what would you do? When a demonic succubus possesses Clive Franco's wife, he turns to the Book of the Dead for answers. What he found was an ancient ritual for baiting an evil spirit out of a human host and onto an easel. The idea is that by getting the spirit to paint itself onto the canvas, you can sever its connection to the physical world by torching a destructible effigy instead of your loving wife that it's puppeting. There's just one problem. You're dealing with a demon. I'm gonna break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the ink demons in The Painted. It's January 1968. Clive Franco is tending to his possessed wife. She's lying on her bed unconscious, hooked up to an IV loaded with enough sedatives to take down a mini horse.
You're crazy, man. I like you.
Makes sense. Don't want the demon rotating her head 360 degrees, twisting her limbs into balloon animals, or projectile vomiting pea soup all over the carpet. Clive removes her ring and returns to his study where he lights a candle and cracks open a book. Not just any book, a book of demonic rituals. Flipped to chapter 12, The Painted. The chapter's marked with caution. Beware. Certain spirits are deceptive. Entities captured within paintings may endeavor to enter our world. This ritual is considered incredibly dangerous and should only be practiced by those with intimate knowledge of the spirits with which they are communicating. This is considered one of the more advanced rituals by many spiritualists, and reasonable precautions should be taken when communicating with non-human spirits. These interactions can be fatal. Protect yourself. Nerds, if you're trying to phase out vaping or just need to keep your hands busy, Fume might be exactly what you've been looking for. It's a compact, flavored air device. No vapor, no nicotine, no batteries. It's built to give you something clean to satisfy your oral fixation with. Fume uses passive diffusion to deliver natural, non-toxic flavor. No smoke, no charging, no harmful chemicals. Just flavored air in a portable device that you can use anywhere. At work, while traveling, or relaxing at home. It's 100% nicotine-free, non-addictive, and requires zero maintenance. No refills, no chargers, just twist, draw, and go. The build quality stands out. It has weighted wood construction, magnetic snapping parts, and an adjustable airflow dial that's genuinely satisfying to twist. It looks sharp, feels solid, and doubles as a fidget tool when your hands need something to do.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
There's a ton of flavors. Crisp mint is sharp and clean, cinnamon hearts add some heat, orange vanilla is smooth. They've got maple pepper if you want savory, grapefruit if you want punchy, peach blush, raspberry lemon, mango, and white cranberry. More than 500,000 people have already picked up Fume as part of building a better habit. If you're looking to do the same or just want something smarter to reach for, now's the time. Go to tryfume.com/nerdexplains or scan the QR code on screen. Use code NERDEXPLAINS and they'll throw in a free Fume topper when you grab the Journey Pack. Thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video. Well, enough of that garbage. Clive flips past the warning and gets straight to the instructions. Alright, what we're gonna need to do is find the ghost's favorite room, a place of high activity that's usually freezing. The room Clive chooses has an ectoplasmic spectral mist hanging in the air. Perfect. Now, all we need is some mood lighting, a blank canvas, a sentimental lure, a full set of CMYK from Sherwin-Williams, and a pinch of patience. Clive sets a small table in the room with a chair on one side, an easel on the other, places his wife's ring in the center, lights a circle of candles around it, fills 5 jars of various colored paints, primes the canvas with turpentine, turns off the lights, sits down in the chair, and reads from the sacred scripture.
Pace yourself!
The candles blow gently, then nothing happens. Frustrated that the demon didn't paint itself within 3 seconds, Clive storms off to the other side of the room. While his back is turned, the ink climbs up the canvas. Once the portrait reaches significant completion, all the candles blow out at once, supposedly signifying the ritual's successful transference of the demon from his wife into the canvas. Clive jumps into action. He grabs his matchbox, fumbles out a match, and strikes it. The flame flares to life just as the painting completes, revealing the succubus's full form.
You like it? It's very generous.
Clive flicks the lit match at the painting, hoping the turpentine vapors will ignite and torch the demon's new host in the ink. Instead, it hits handle first, bounces off, and fizzles out disappointingly. The demon did not like that. Well, time to find a large empty cabinet to hide in for the next 30 seconds. The next morning, Clive's wife awakens, free from demonic possession. Only Clive sitting in the corner of the room watching her, and begins laughing maniacally, clearly now possessed by the succubus. The Clive-cubus strangles her to death, then offs Clive's new host body. So, where did this all go wrong? Well, for starters, probably living in a mansion full of haunted paintings trying to kill you. In the movie, we learned that the Francos were among the foremost practitioners of spirit painting. They believed that if you became one of the painted, you could never truly die. And they were paid quite handsomely to immortalize people's spirits through this ritual. And for some insane reason, they decided it was a great idea to hang many of these spirit portraits on the walls of their own home. According to their librarian, Leonora, the same woman that the Francos used to stash away paintings that they didn't want hanging around anymore. Most spirits continue in death as they did in life. These paintings gave them a home, but it also gave malevolent entities a way in. Obviously, the Francos wouldn't be so stupid as to intentionally hang an evil person's portrait on their walls, essentially giving them a portal into the physical world. But here's the problem. Living inside a painting ain't exactly a fulfilling afterlife. Sooner or later, those spirits are gonna get bored, frustrated, and angry. And as we all know, anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering, and suffering corrupts you into a demonic spirit hell-bent on puppeting humans for fun. That's exactly what happened to the Francos. A long time ago, Clive's great-great-grandfather, Ivor Franco, painted his terminally ill fiancée, Cassandra Dubray, hoping to immortalize her spirit in art. His plan was to pull a Romeo and Juliet and, join her in the afterlife. The ritual worked. Cassandra's spirit was successfully bound to the painting, but when it came time for Ivor to commit seppuku and join her, he completely chickened out. Instead, he threw a blanket over her painting, shoved it in the basement, and went off to marry someone else. Hey, at least he didn't hang her painting above his headboard. As you can probably imagine, Cassandra was more than a bit upset about being doomed to spend eternity alone. Forced to watch Ivor love another woman, she turned into a succubus and cursed Ivor and all his descendants. Not that Clive could have possibly known about the marital drama of his great-great-grandfather, or expected to be the recipient of Ivor's fallout with his dead wife. But come on, bare minimum, who wants old dead people all over their house? Who wants a mischievous ghost kid constantly trying to play hide and seek every day and shoving you down the basement stairs? For Christ's sake, they hung up a bored barber spirit right above their bed. No wonder so many paintings eventually ended up in Leonora's basement. But here's the catch. The painted spirits stuffed away in a dusty basement are gonna be too. And as the movie shows, their grudges follow you no matter where you go. Point is, painting spirits is a bad idea. Hanging them in your house is a very bad idea. Them off once they're already there, deadly. Just like the Book of the Dead Clive was reading from warned him. Now, one thing to consider is that later in the movie, we learned that the original Franco house burned down in 1907, killing Ivor and his second wife. The current house where Clive and his wife live was rebuilt on the same foundation 3 years later. So it's entirely possible that all the original paintings were destroyed in that fire, meaning that Clive might not have had any of those paintings hanging up at the time that his wife was possessed. But this is where the movie logic starts getting loose. Apparently, if you burn a painting, the spirit can just repaint itself somewhere else because its essence is still floating around or something. In Clive's case, even if the paintings were gone, the spirits were still out there. It's possible that they simply repainted themselves elsewhere after Clive was killed. Who knows? We barely see any of his house during the ritual scene, so it's all left vague. Either way, Clive didn't seem like an active practitioner, didn't have paintings up, and had no idea what he was dealing with, until his wife suddenly got possessed by a demon. He did at least have that Book of the Dead, which explains that to truly get rid of these entities, you have to perform the full ritual all over again. Summon the spirit using its anchor object. The spirit then has to willingly agree to be painted again. Once it's fully manifested onto the canvas, only then can you burn it and supposedly banish it to the spirit realm for good. Or at least that's the theory. I don't know. It sounds like nobody really knows what they're doing. Hence, why they're all dead, and why nobody's performed this ritual in ages. Which brings me to my next point. Why didn't Clive just call up a certified exorcist technician? The guy's filthy rich, well-versed enough in the occult to own what's basically the Necronomicon, and the Franco dynasty has enough connections to pull some serious strings. I'm not saying it's as easy as hopping on TaskRabbit, but there's gotta be someone that he can call that knows how to do a straight-up exorcism. Painting spirits was what got the Francos into this mess in the first place. Trying to paint their way out is like fighting a house fire with a blowtorch. But okay, for whatever reason, Clive decides an exorcism will not do. Possibly because he thinks that the demon possessing his wife already has a connection to the physical world through the paintings and this specific ritual. And the only way to sever that connection is to undo it using the same ritual. Either way, he's convinced that this is the only way, and that he's the only guy for the job. Then, when the succubus finally reveals herself, manifesting into the ink and supposedly leaving the host to bind her soul to the canvas, Clive's completely unprepared for the final banishing process. He had to know that the candles were gonna blow out and plunge him into total darkness, and he didn't bring a flashlight, a lantern, or even a Zippo. Flicking a match was destined to fail. Have you ever tried flicking a match? It ain't easy. The flame usually goes out and it's hard to aim. And the odds of actually lighting turpentine vapors on the first try are basically zero, unless you're Chris Roth. I mean, this was the big deal, the ultimate showdown, and Clive brought a single match to fight a demon. Unreal. No wonder he got targeted. Clive should have bought himself a post-war M2 flamethrower and parked a couple of buckets of kerosene right next to it. Then, for protection, he should have popped some sanity pills, aka benzos and beta blockers, laid a salt circle around the painting and easel, carved protective sigils into the floor, lit some incense, holstered a big old cross, stuffed a Bible in his back pocket, and draped prayer beads around his neck. Because if you're gonna go toe-to-toe with a demon, you might as well bring the entire holy arsenal. Sure, the M2 would burn your house to the ground in the process, but it's haunted anyway. This is a guaranteed way to turn the evil spirit's connection to the physical world into ashes, along with all the other trapped spirit portraits in your house. Then after whisking your wife off the bed and running downstairs, you could tell her all about the long vacation that you've got planned in the Bahamas, while you build a brand new demon-free house on a different foundation. In the end, Clive attempted a DIY demonic art project and got his wife and himself murdered.
Not a great plan.
6 months later, Clive Franco's wife's cousin, Evelyn Elster, gets a knock at her door from a representative of the Franco estate, informing her that she's been named executor of her cousin's estate. Evelyn tells her husband, Adam, that she barely knew her cousin, and how she died under bizarre circumstances. But there's money involved. A salary of $10,000, plus a percentage of the estate. Adam, whose furniture business is tanking, immediately fixates on the cash, despite Evelyn's apprehension. So the entire Ster family packs up and road trips to the Franco mansion. As executor, Evelyn's new job is to catalog every single item in the house so that the appraisers can come in next week and assign values. Otherwise, the state would handle the probate, likely dragging things out for months or years. The Elsters decide to spend the weekend in the mansion itself, sleeping in the same place where Clive killed her cousin and then banished himself. Sounds like a great family getaway. Inside, what becomes immediately apparent is that the house is filled with dozens of portraits of random dead people. One of them is rather voluptuous, prompting Evelyn and Adam to quickly order their son Nelson to haul it up to the attic so little Lucy doesn't catch an eyeful. Later that night, Evelyn shuts down Adam's advances, probably because she's thinking that this might be the same bed where Clive choked the life out of her cousin. So Adam decides to go rummage through the trunk of the car for his secret toolbox stash that he apparently packed for this trip. Just as he's getting situated, something catches his eye. A slender, seductive figure leaning against the window. But when he opens the door, the shadow's gone. Bro's wife gave him such bad blue balls he's out here hallucinating sexy ghosts. Back in Janice's room, things are getting weird. That's at least $80 saved at the local salon. But seriously, how is she not waking up with all that hair falling across her face? Not a single strand tickled her nose? What a bad time to be a deep sleeper, because this could have gone much worse for her. She eventually wakes up to find hair clips scattered all over her pillow and assumes it must have been her younger sister, Lucy. Reasonable enough? Not like she could assume that the man in the painting was taken a little off the top. Naturally, nobody really believes her or does anything. The next morning, Evelyn's polishing up a mirror when she notices the woman in the portrait behind her subtly moving. Thinking it must have just been a trick of the light or a smudge shifting, she brushes it off. A moment later, she hears giggling and the sound of little feet pounding down the hallway. She goes to check, assuming it's Lucy, but when she rounds the corner, the basement door slams shut. Here's the creepy part. Evelyn glances out of the window and sees Lucy outside, happily playing in the yard. So, who just ran into the basement?
Who's down there?
Exercising complete disregard for her own safety and well-being, Evelyn heads right into the basement in search of whatever was baiting her. When she rounds the stairwell, the cabinet doors on the far wall slam shut. When she opens them, inside is Adam's tool chest. The very next scene is Evelyn confronting Adam about the magazines, instead of bringing up the far bigger issue that she'd just been chasing someone down into the basement who simply vanished. If nobody else put those magazines there, then who did? Just last night, Janice was freaking out that someone was cutting her hair, and it's definitely not Lucy sneaking around with scissors. It's not totally unreasonable to think that there's a mole person squatting in the house messing with them. The priority should be figuring out if they're actually safe in this house or not. Adam expertly diverts the conversation to the topic of his failing business. Retailers aren't buying local anymore. He lost half his clients last quarter. Oh, and he drained their savings account to pay for Nelson's college. Nice. Later that night, while they're getting ready for bed, Evelyn tells Adam that she saw something strange earlier while playing with Lucy. She says it's the paintings. They're just creepy, which is why Janice threw a blanket over the Barber painting in her room before going to bed. Once everyone's nice and deep in their REM cycles, the paintings come to life. This time, Janice wakes up almost immediately. Still thinking it's Lucy messing around, she goes to check her sister's room, but everyone's fast asleep. That's when she turns around and sees a figure emerging from beneath the blanket covering the painting. Panicking, she rushes to hide in her closet, leaving the door cracked just enough to watch the spooky ghost dissipate into nothing, along with the barber and the painting. What the hell is she thinking? Janice is literally standing in the doorway to the hallway where her entire family is only a few feet away. But instead of running to them, she slams the door shut and runs deeper into her room where the ghost is, locking herself in the closet. So if the barber comes knocking, she's now trapped in a tiny box with no escape. Genius. The only thing worse than seeing a creepy ghost in your room is not seeing it anymore. Janice somehow manages to free herself, probably because the barber cut the very hair that he was holding on to. She bolts back into the room, only to find the barber safely back inside the painting, like nothing happened.
No way!
Evelyn and Adam rush in after hearing her screams. Janice insists that someone's in the room. Adam yells, "Who? Where?" She points straight to the painting and says, "Him." She even adds that she could smell his breath. Cue the obligatory horror movie moment where the parents immediately dismiss it as just a nightmare. Adam and Elson pull the painting off the wall and move it somewhere else that's presumably not Janice's bedroom and tell her to just go back to bed. Honestly, I would not go to bed alone after that. I can't stand this kind of crap in horror movies where someone has a very real physical encounter with a ghost, getting dragged across the floor by their hair, and then the parents brush it off as just a nightmare, and somehow the person who almost got scalped by a painting ghost is supposed to just accept that and crawl back under the covers like nothing happened. I get that there's not much else that Janice can do at this point, but seriously, ghosts are attacking you. Personally, if it were me, I'd be sleeping in the car. The night ain't over yet. While splashing some cold water on his face, Adam hears a woman's whisper, and since Evelyn's fast asleep, the only logical choice is obviously to follow the noises up to the attic and crawl around with a Zippo. I swear, nobody in horror movies can resist the urge to wander into the dark alone. Mind you, this is literally minutes after his daughter was screaming bloody murder about someone attacking her in the house. While investigating the disturbance, a candle falls over and rolls across the floor toward him. Adam mutters, "Who's there?" lights the candle, and finds himself face to face with the woman from the painting, the succubus in full flesh. Later in the movie, when Adam finally tries to explain this attic encounter to Evelyn, he mutters, "The woman from the painting came to me. We were together. I'm so sorry." Adam hooked up with the demon.
Nice.
The next morning, he wakes up sprawled out on the attic floor with his shirt off. Honestly, I'm surprised he even managed to get his pants back on after she succubused his soul out.
Randy!
Oh, there was a ghost! There's ectoplasm!
Adam sits up and sees glowing blue eyes staring at him from across the room. He quickly angles a sunlit mirror to light up the spot, revealing it's the painting of the same ghost woman that he just spent the night with. He throws a drape over it and hogties it to cover up his degenerate ghost affair. Of course, he throws his shirt back on and says absolutely nothing to Evelyn about sleeping with a busty ghost woman with reptilian arms and legs who manifested out of a painting, only ever mumbling, "I need to tell you something," before getting conveniently interrupted over and over for the rest of the movie. Meanwhile, Evelyn jolts awake from a bizarre dream where the woman in the painting, the same one that Adam just banged, begs her husband Ivor, "Make me one of the painted," before dropping a red ruby necklace into his hand. At this point, Evelyn has no idea what the hell to make of it all. The next day, everyone basically goes back to finishing the estate appraisal. Evelyn wanders into a room and discovers a strange setup. A candle circle on a table with a wedding ring in the center, an empty easel, wet jars of paint underneath it, and Clive's Book of the Dead sitting there, complete with the painting ritual instructions earmarked. This prompts her to do absolutely nothing. That night, Adam sneaks off to the attic again, clearly looking for another round of that succubussy. Instead, he finds the ropes undone and the painting empty. The woman completely gone. Sorry bro, it was just a one-night stand. It's not you. Meanwhile, Evelyn wakes up after hearing some spooky noises. "Lucy, is that you? Who's there? How many times are people gonna get baited by creepy noises in the night? You'll never catch me wandering around following footsteps or slamming cabinet doors yelling, 'Who's there?' You want some? I'll be hiding in a shadowy corner with a gun waiting for you." Okay. A young boy dressed like he's from the 1700s literally jumps into the painting. It's time to leave. I think the state can handle the appraisal from here.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
But no. Evelyn runs back, not to get help, but to grab the world's flashlight imaginable and shine it on the painting. It's now back to the original portrait. Oh my god. She actually walks right up to it and then turns her back on it. Pure insanity. Evelyn turns back around. The painting's black again. She hears giggling, leans down, and looks under the cabinet. The boy takes off running, and Evelyn gives chase, but when she rounds the corner, he's gone, just like before. Then, the basement door swings open on its own. Please tell me you are not actually going to follow it into the basement. Yep, she's following it down into the basement.
I have very little patience for stupidity.
She doesn't even yell out for help or anything. The little teleports behind Evelyn and shoves her down the stairwell, smashing her crappy flashlight in the process. Meanwhile, things are getting seriously weird in Nelson's room. All the paintings start melting like Terminator goo. Naturally, Nelson leans in inches from the liquefying portrait to get a better look. Finally, Adam snaps out of staring longingly at the empty canvas where his succubus lover used to be and rushes in to yank his son out of the melting art portal. Apparently, that tumble down the stairs knocked Evelyn the hell out because she's only just now waking up in the basement. She quickly reassembles her trash flashlight in time to blast the succubus with her 4-lumen torch. The rest of the family charges down into the basement. Evelyn states the obvious. It's time to get out of the house immediately. They grab whatever essentials they can and head back home. Personally, I'd have seriously considered burning the entire place down at that point. But then again, they'd probably end up in jail for arson and possibly for burning down half of California. Back at home, Evelyn tells Adam that she thinks Clive was trying to summon something the night that he and his wife died. And upon dropping that bombshell revelation, Evelyn just gets up and says, "There's something I have to do," promptly hops in the car and leaves. Cool, great talk. So you're not gonna tell him about the ritual setup that you saw in the mansion? Or Clive's Book of the Dead containing the painting procedure? It's also pretty messed up that Adam's been hooking up with Cassandra while his entire family's getting relentlessly attacked. And he hasn't once had the gall to mention this rather crucial piece of information. But sure, I get it. It's a little awkward to bring up. Look, it's not really Adam's fault that a demon chick's tearing his clothes off. Sorry, Evelyn. Sydney Sweeney was the one painted and not Glenn Powell. I'm sure you'd have been all over that offer if the positions were reversed. Either way, there wasn't really any reason for them to believe that the evil spirits would follow them home. For all they knew, the house was haunted. They left the house, and so they were in the clear. There's no obvious sign that Cassandra is the big bad here, especially since Evelyn got attacked by the kid, Nelson by Starry Night, and Janice by a barber. So honestly, I can see why Adam might still think it's okay to be a little reluctant about disclosing his new relationship. Evelyn's plan is to visit the bookstore where Clive bought the demon painting manual, Alden Books 204 Exodus Lane, Casadega, California 95242. She's banking on the librarian knowing more about the ritual, Clive's intentions, and what the hell actually happened. Fair enough, but damn, I'm not sure leaving your entire family at home alone is the smartest move. Sure, it's not completely insane to think that simply leaving the haunted house might keep the painted spirits at bay, but that's not a chance that I'd want to take. Much safer for everyone to pile into the car and stay on the same page. When she arrives, Leonora, the woman working there, takes her downstairs into the basement, and holy crap, there is a ton of spirit portraits stacked down there. How is this lady not dead already? One of the paintings is a creepy old grandma with no eyes, who I bet tries to stick her tongue down your throat while you're sleeping. Leonora explains, they called them the Painted, spirits summoned through art. Most spirits continue in death as they did in life. These paintings gave them a home, but it also gave malevolent entities a way in. By the early 1920s, the ritual was permanently retired. We keep them here for safety. Evelyn tells Leonora that the painting that she saw in Clive's house looked fresh. So someone's been painting recently. When she inquires what Clive was up to, Leonora says, "That's not for me to say. Lady, just spit it out. The Francos are dead. The paintings are killing people. Why are you so cagey? Leonora does confirm that the Franco family kept many secrets. By the turn of the century, they were among the foremost practitioners of spirit painting. They believed that if you became one of the painted, then you could never truly die. Unless you burn the painting, right? Though Leonora never actually clarifies whether burning them works. Honestly, I don't think Leonora, or anyone, really knows what the hell they're doing. The paintings are basically confirmed evil. One of them literally turns into a skull and looks at Evelyn. So why not just torch the entire basement? Or drown the paintings in acid? Spirit mumbo jumbo aside, I'd rather not leave any portals to hell lying around. While Evelyn's off on her fact-finding mission, Janice and Lucy are chilling at home building a box fort in their basement, completely convinced that they're safe and that all the monsters were safely contained back in the haunted mansion. What better way to shake off PTSD from evil spirits hunting you in the dark than to create a vast network of dark tunnels in your basement where things could hide? Wow, crawling around in a pitch black speleo box definitely makes me feel better about the old dead guy who tried to slit my throat open with a straight razor in my closet, especially considering that the entire situation was never resolved, and there's no way to know if the spirits might have followed you home. And yet, Janice decides that her box fort simply isn't complex enough. So she runs upstairs to get some more supplies, leaving her little defenseless sister Lucy alone in the tunnels. Uh-oh. Of course, Lucy, totally unfazed about a complete stranger lurking in her home, crawls right after him. Man, this box fort is massive. Where did Janice get the idea that it wasn't big enough? Lucy rounds a corner and sees something lurking at the end of the tunnel. Jesus, those wet, heavy footsteps smacking the floor are terrifying. Luckily, Janice hears her sister scream and rushes back down to pull Lucy away from the demon. But instead of springing up the basement stairs, Janice goes to investigate and finds the succubus painting tucked away. Their brother Nelson, who previously got his face sucked into a painting, shows up and, speaking from experience, warns Janice not to get too close or to touch it. Then Adam arrives, sees the painting of his beloved, and upon realizing that the attack on his daughter clearly coincided with the image of the woman that he slept with, declares, "I know what needs to be done." Oh, right, cool. So you're gonna do the logical thing that someone with your limited knowledge would try first, destroying the painting, right? Nope. Apparently, it's montage study time at the local library.
We're gonna need a Girl, I want a
Man, it's a good thing they have an entire section on demonology, because bro is now cramming a full college course into a single evening before sundown. Look, I'm all for education, but you don't have time to earn your demonology degree right now. The painting in your house just tried to murder your daughter like 5 minutes ago, and then you go and leave them alone again? Bro, the words are underneath the picture. Eventually, Adam stumbles across an article labeled Mystics or Frauds, a contemporary opinion of the Franco dynasty, dated 1915. It describes a charity gala attended by the San Francisco elite, hosted by none other than Ivor Franco. And that's when Adam has a massive oh shit moment, realizing the truth. The mysterious woman that he slept with is actually Cassandra Dubray, Ivor's former fiancée and Clive's great-great-granddaddy, though he still has no idea how or why she's trapped in a painting, or why she's suddenly hell-bent on destroying his family, something which Evelyn could have quickly brought him up to speed on by telling him about Clive's Book of the Painted hours ago. But let's be honest, you don't exactly need a PhD in demonology to figure out that a reptilian ghost woman seducing you is probably not great for your health. It also never seems to occur to Adam that he's not exactly Brad Pitt, and that Cassandra Dubray is not hopelessly attracted to his manly charm. She's just using this form to get what she wants. And what do malicious spirits typically want? Your soul.
I'll swallow your soul! I'll swallow your soul!
Swallow this.
Back home, Evelyn returns later that day to find Adam barbecuing the painting. Oh, now you burn it. Evelyn tells him it's not gonna do any good. She'll just keep coming back. Why though? Isn't burning the painting supposed to sever the spirit's connection? As far as we're aware, Clive's plan was basically the same. Paint demon, burn painting, problem solved. Evelyn insists she'll find us no matter what we do or where we go. We have to figure out where she came from. So Adam pulls out his secret research stash.
I was only kidding!
He shows Evelyn the old charity photos featuring Cassandra Dubray and says that she's not a relative, but she knew Ivor. Turns out Cassandra died of a prolonged illness in the 1890s. After her death, there's been a trail of murders, suicides, and disappearances tied to the Franco family. From Clive to your cousin to us. Evelyn says, what about the fire? Adam replies that the original house burned down in 1907, killing Ivor and his next wife, which means the succubus did in fact repaint herself, and probably all the other paintings did too. So Evelyn's like, there's only one way to stop this. I know the ritual, but we're gonna need something else. Cassandra's closest personal possession. She tells Adam, when I was in the basement, I thought I saw something. Another room. I think that that's where she keeps it. Bold assumption, but damn if the plot doesn't demand this. She says it could have been the original cellar and that they have to go back tonight. How about we don't? Why don't we just wait until morning, then go searching for her ruby necklace? I get that it probably has to be nighttime for the ritual to work, but it doesn't have to be nighttime when we're gathering the materials that we need for the ritual. I would want to spend as little time as humanly possible in the dark, creepy, haunted mansion. Of course, they decide to split up again. Adam and Evelyn are gonna go to the haunted mansion by themselves and leave Nelson, Lucy, and Janice back at home alone. Evelyn tells her children, if anything happens, call Steve. Who the hell is Steve? Look, splitting up is a terrible plan. It's a terrible plan because every single time anyone has ever split up, which has been a numerous amount, they've gotten haunted. They're no safer apart. The paint had already chased them all the way back home. Remember? And if this demon can only possess one person at a time, it's way smarter to keep the entire family together so you've got extra people to dogpile and tie up whoever's currently possessed. Because let's be real, if Adam gets possessed again, Evelyn's pretty much screwed. Back at the Elster house, no one seems to have learned their lesson. Janice and Lucy and Nelson are sleeping in different rooms. The paint from the model airplane set starts to unscrew itself and creep up over Lucy's artwork. So basically, Cassandra can paint herself into existence anywhere there's paint, which is super inconvenient. I mean, you probably don't want to have paintings and paint all over the house because she does need to use them as a portal to physically manifest. But absent any materials in your home, she could probably manifest at Home Depot and then stroll right back over. Nelson turns around to see Lucy's art completely covered in black paint, and then the succubus pops up right behind him. Cut to Adam and Evelyn arriving back at the Franco house. Evelyn warns that Cassandra may try to use the paintings against them. And Adam's immediate reaction is, we should just burn them. Okay, which is it? Burning won't stop them, but then they're all like, we should burn them. I mean, I'm all for burning them. Just stop with all the poorly understood conflicting opinions. Adam rolls out the wheelbarrow, dumps all the paintings onto the front lawn, and sets them on fire. Meanwhile, Evelyn heads into the cellar alone. Because why stop making terrible decisions now? Oh, but don't worry, Evelyn's carrying a candle. She makes her way into the cellar and finds Cassandra's hidden locker, but it's locked. Luckily, the key just randomly drops onto the floor behind her. Maybe another painted spirit doesn't like Cassandra and is trying to help. Or hell, maybe the director painted himself into the movie just to advance the plot. Who knows? Inside the locker, she discovers letters, trinkets, and Cassandra's red gem. Evelyn should really spin that box around and keep her back to the wall. Or better yet, grab the gem and run outside to Adam so that they can finally link up and perform the ritual. Why the hell is she hanging around in the demon's basement lair, reading Cassandra's old letters? She's already found the gem. Mission accomplished. Time to go. Meanwhile, Adam goes back inside to grab more paintings for the bonfire, but finds all the figures gone, which honestly is kind of expected. Once the painted saw him wheeling them out into the yard for a barbecue, they probably jumped ship and started plotting how to tune his ass up the moment he came back inside. Leonora did mention that not all the spirits were necessarily evil. It probably would have been smarter to leave the paintings alone altogether. Just run in, grab the gem, get out. Adam basically just kicked the hornet's nest. Oh my god, Evelyn's still in the cellar reading notes, completely oblivious to the paintings behind her morphing from scenic landscapes into human figures. The cellar door slams shut, and her candle blows out. Adam hears Evelyn screaming, rushes back over, and finds the cellar door jammed shut. He shoves his arm through a gap, grabs her hand, and yanks her out to safety. Together, they finish burning the rest of the paintings on the front lawn. Then suddenly, they just go home. Wait, I thought that they were gonna attempt the ritual. Why are they going home? I guess they figured that they could do it at home. Cassandra's spirit did follow them, so technically the ritual should still work. Probably safer too. Evelyn launches into the big backstory info dump on the way. It's a curse that started with Ivor Franco. He was the most gifted spiritualist of his time, famous for summoning paintings of the dead. He met Cassandra. They got married, and then she became terminally ill. She begged him to make her one of the painted so that they could live together forever. So he prepared a bewitched painting as a place where their spirits could exist. After her death, he planned to conduct the ritual to bind his own soul to the painting and join her. But when it came time to prove his undying love, he didn't go through with it. He abandoned Cassandra, leaving her trapped and alone. So she cursed Ivor and all his descendants and became a demon, a succubus. She's been possessing the men to kill the women, generation after generation. Adam, looking incredibly guilty, admits she wanted to get inside of me. When Evelyn demands to know what he's talking about, Janice suddenly comes running up to their door, screaming that Nelson has Lucy locked in the basement. Adam grabs the key from the kitchen drawer and goes to unlock it. Wait, why didn't Janice just grab the basement key from the kitchen drawer herself? She had to know it was there. Maybe she didn't want to fight the demon herself. Oh yeah, I totally forgot where the basement key was. Such a shame. I could have fought the Nelson Cubus off in time to save Lucy. Oh well. Luckily, instead of immediately strangling Lucy, the demon Nelson rummages around for a screwdriver, giving Lucy enough time to escape into her giant cardboard box fort and for Adam to rush downstairs and fight him off. Once he gets Lucy free, they bolt back upstairs and lock the door. Adam yells that they have to start the ritual now. Adam and Evelyn get the easel up, barricade the door, and throw Cassandra's original painting onto the canvas. They're preparing to try the same ritual that Clive tried at the beginning of this whole mess. Evelyn says one more thing. As soon as we lift the curse, we have to unbind her soul from the painting. Adam asks, how? She replies, we burn it. Okay. So the ritual lifts the curse, but like, only momentarily? I don't know guys, Clive did the same thing and it most certainly did not work. Just gonna throw this out there, but why not try smashing Cassandra's ruby to pieces? Her gem is an anchor to the physical world, which is why they're using it for the ceremony. Painting her just seems like giving her another portal to the physical world. The ritual hinges on transferring Cassandra's spirit into something physical. The ruby is her personal link. Smashing it could theoretically prevent her from remanifesting or finding another canvas. Honestly, with how simple this ritual is, canvas, paint, candles, a sentimental object, I'm shocked that more people don't try this on their own. Anyway, Nelson storms the barricade, cuts power to the house, and plunges everyone into total darkness. Adam pulls the drape off the easel, revealing the succubus's full form. Their attempts to resummon Cassandra to the painting fails. Can't say I'm surprised. She's already painted, already has a physical portal to the world, already is possessing Nelson, and already witnessed Clive trying to pull this same assassination tactic on her. She has no reason to go along with your little ritual. So here's their new plan. summon Ivor Franco's spirit into Cassandra's painting to finally reunite them, hoping she'll stop killing everyone. Except it doesn't work. Also unsurprisingly, according to the book, the spirit has to be a willing participant. Why would Ivor willingly show up to join Cassandra after she turned into a total demon bitch and murdered him, his wife, and basically all of his descendants? Also, don't they need Ivor's personal item anchor for the ritual? The gem is Cassandra's, and she's already summoned and painted. Realizing that their plan has no shot, Adam goes with plan C. He removes Cassandra's gem and places his lighter in the middle of the circle. Adam admits that he's moronically fallen in love with the succubus, stabs himself in the gut, and begs Evelyn to paint him into the picture so that he can join Cassandra and pacify her with his love. Shortly after, he passes away in her arms. Glad we talked this strategy through before you plunged a knife into your stomach, you idiot. I get it. His wife didn't love him. His business was failing. He's basically the perfect target for a succubus. In his head, he's thinking Cassandra was totally into him, and he's willing to throw himself on top of those 2 large hand grenades if it means that she'll leave his family alone. Which is where his plan falls apart massively, because it doesn't. Cassandra's not gonna get over centuries of rage over her lover abandoning her to eternity just because some broke middle-aged loser started simping for her. Obviously, this is all a part of her desire to destroy their lives. He should have at least waited until after they tried burning Cassandra's painting again. Might not work. Probably won't work. Burning hasn't, except this time Nelson is currently possessed, and they did run the ritual again. Too late, Evelyn has no choice but to carry out the ritual. It's a success. Adam's spirit gets painted next to Cassandra. Cassandra transforms from her monstrous snake-armed reptile form back into her normal, loving human appearance.
Your love has broken the curse and freed my soul. I'll never have to kill again.
Nelson finishes breaking through the barricade and looks up, seemingly free, until he starts smiling sinisterly.
I'm just screwing with you.
The Nelson Cubus starts strangling Evelyn to death. Luckily, Janice and Lucy completely ignored their parents' order to stay away from the house until morning and not come back under any circumstances. And by God, is their timing perfect. Janice runs in, sees Evelyn reaching for the lighter, snatches it up, flicks it on, and hurls it at the painting. Somehow, the flames are contained just to Cassandra's side of the painting, banishing only her and leaving their papa unscathed. Why this suddenly works when burning her portrait before didn't, I have no idea. Apparently, whatever half-assed part of the ritual that they managed to complete worked. Maybe because in the process of Adam being painted, Cassandra also repainted herself, which was enough of a manifestation and connection to the canvas that burning it actually worked this time. I don't know. Nelson's freed from possession, and all the Elsters, with the exception of Adam's dumb simp ass, survived. He actually committed seppuku for a ghost who never loved him and was sent into a fiery hell minutes later, leaving him stuck inside of a painting. Then to throw salt in the wound, his ex-wife drops him off at Leonora's basement with all the other painted creeps. Adam is gonna be pissed, stuck with no women, no nudie mags, no hustlers, in some dusty old basement while Evelyn goes on living her best life. Just like Ivor did to Cassandra before him, setting the same cursed cycle in motion all over again. Adam is 100% going to turn into a rampaging demon. If I was Evelyn, I would preemptively redo the ritual and then burn his painting, or whatever the they did to banish Cassandra. The movie ends with a post-credits scene of the barber's painting having survived. Ultimately, I'd say that without plot armor, being incredibly inexperienced in demon hunting, and the shifty rules surrounding the ritual, evil spirits, and generally burning the paintings, they would have all been killed. Even though they all survived, Adam is 100% going to turn vengeful once Evelyn finds a new husband in a couple weeks. So I'd say the ink demons in The Painted were unbeaten. Moral of the story, leave the dead alone. Thanks to Fume for sponsoring this video.